Tonight is a very special night. I think we're going to start off by looking at some pictures and give an idea of what the topics will be today. Showed you a Corona motor, atmospheric electricity, it does work. The fact that they called it a Corona motor 8 years ago when this video was put out. We looked at it then about atmospheric energy. It's why I never poo-pooed all of the talk about the Antikythera tech. The six-pointed star, I was reminded why. Flags, different flags of the North Pole, not in the shape of an eyeball. Weird maps. Weird maps coming up. Bimmy. Bimmy. That's the word you're thinking of. That's what it's called when the people's face are in their chest. Bimmy. That was just this colorized version of the same picture. Is that that should be the thumbnail? About living water tonight. Living water. The water has a memory. The body parts of the Titans are reserved in judgment. You're welcome. Now we know. Faithfulness and pain brought this knowledge through obedience. I added the other stuff about the living matrix. Thus saith the Lord. Here's where I got it. Here's where I could see it. Their divergent point. Right here where my mouse is. And right here. Now I get it. Everything is a body part to me. Any map they show for a reason. Knowledge obtained through the senses lacks absolute certainty because the senses often deceive us. Human reason can also be deceived. Logical conclusions from false premises will lead you to wrong answers. Of course, that's why they've given you the wrong presuppositions. That's why you're here. Really? I owe you an explanation? I've given my explanation, and I've proven it over and over again. Thank you for showing up, Fractal Education. I hope I was sharing those pictures. Was I sharing the pictures, Fractal? Anyway, it's no surprise they've had turbine engines. They covered it up. No kidding.
Run on unleaded gasoline, JP4 jet fuel, kerosene, diesel, home heating oil. VO5 hairspray.
We've heard stories that when in France that ran on Chanel No. 5 perfume.
I went down to Dothan, Alabama for the Peanut Festival.
It's not like they never had a car that could run on Chanel No. 5, but they just didn't build it. It's not like we're still using the steam power for everything important, but selling it to you for $3 a gallon because they can. It's not like they're burning everything down and lying about it.
I have never seen any reason to believe that there were over 1,000 missing children. I mean, you can say there were a hell of a lot of missing people that were unaccounted for in the days after the fire, but it wasn't necessarily just about children at that point. It was, you know, I don't remember what the initial missing count was total overall, but it was probably pretty close to 1,000. So I'm thinking that's where the number came from.
Yeah, it was around 1,000 or a little over.
Yeah, but they don't have to worry about it because they can sign in and not sign out, and it'll all be redacted.
County? Well, I mean, was it the state? Was it the federal government? We don't know, right?
No, we have no idea. And that seems like a pretty easy question to answer. But for whatever reason, they don't want to. I don't know.
The United States is not your friend. United States is not your friend. He makes his fiery shafts, his arrows of death, instrument he prepared for himself, because this is a judgment. His arrows, deadly fiery arrows, instruments, different articles, implements for a righteous judgment upon this nation. Because it's the dust. We're made from the dust of the Titans. This is all about a spiritual world I cannot show you. You have to be made aware of it by the Spirit also. The dust they eat, the plaster that they replastered the stones in place with, when they were making altars of unhewn stone, as the Bible wanted them to be, powder and dust. The horn in the dust is the realization of the power. Yeah, they can trample and overtake it, but as you lay in the dust, the honor of another life awaits. They can't take that from you. You're a seed that's going to be planted. What are the horns? The horns lifted up, denoting an increase of might and dignity. Horn-like projections at the corners in Habakkuk and in Amos. In Daniel and in his visions. Habakkuk 3. His brightness was like the light rays flashed from his hand, and there he veiled his power. Before him went pestilence and plague at its heels. He stood and measured the earth. He looked and shook the nations. The eternal mountains were scattered, the everlasting hills sank low, because it was time for his judgment. He is the light. The rays that flash are all for a reason. If a man does not repent, God will whet that sword, his sword. He has bent and readied his bow. And Jacob had a dream about a ladder that rested on the earth with its top reaching to heaven. And the angels were going up and down on that ladder. We'll pick it up in verse 13. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, the God of Isaac. The land on which he was lying when he saw that vision, I will give it to you and to your offspring. Your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. And in you and your offspring shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Behold, I am with you, and I will keep you wherever you go and bring you back to this land, for I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised. He called the place Bethel. The name of the city was Luz at first. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God, and this stone, which I have set up for a pillar, shall be God's house. And all that you give me, I will give you 1/10. I challenge anyone to show me where God says one negative thing about Jacob. Oh, yeah. You can listen to Esau and even Isaac when he was old and tired. Oh, that crazy Jacob. But no, this is a faithful man, a covenant keeper. Again, we're waiting for that verse, like the same verse of where that verse that says Jesus is going to reign physically on a throne in what they call that place of Jerusalem today for 1,000 years. Just show me the one time verse, please. Still waiting. Let there be light. That is that light of that sword. He shall be the light. Let there be light. He is that light. The verse I'm looking at is Psalm 49. Psalm 49, verse 19. His soul will go to the generation of his fathers, who will never again see light. They have no apoptosis. They have no plan. There was no plan for them to see the light. There is a form of programmed cell death. It's called apoptosis. And we'll get into that in a minute. I'll finish reading and welcome you to Mud Flood Was Armageddon. formerly Flat Earth Nation, Golden Age past, because this is a Flat Earth Nation. The Golden Age is definitely past because the mud flood was the Armageddon, and I'm never going to tell you anything else. Never let anyone tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you or me in a fair and honest way. The one God is all eye and no sky, divided waters into dust, not for us, but as an object lesson for spirit beings that, unlike humans, have no body, of which we call flesh. Communing in unity is community. My skin is a semi-watertight battery protector for a reason. Reason together in community with the accent on unity. I would like to explain my airtight examples. I believe in living water. From the spirit world, I have been given what scripture calls a gift of faith for no other reason than to warn people of a final eternal judgment of utmost importance. The Most High Spirit's nature of love was a mystery to history that answers every question, starting with the word why. Why do things revealed to the prophets need discernment? The prophets will cause division that we are told are like either of the types to be divided are the sheep and the goats. Sheep will have a shepherd, willing by example to fight for us, to even die, because the sheep, knowing only that they need showing a way through the valley of death to the living waters, thus they are comforted. If the goats do not feel adopted, their hearts have not been changed. The breath of life is the stench of death to those who love the beauty of this creation more than its one most high creator. In mud flood world, this is the same as crediting our flat earth nation to the Anunnaki, searching for gold or some other big bang created world of evolution. The called prophets will no longer strive to explain living water. We will show you apifugal lymphocanosis written in stone. Right here. It's always pointing to where the apifugal lymphocanosis happens. Am I blocking that? Is my chair blocking that? Is that blocking the thing that tells you where the apifugal lymphocanosis takes place? Has it not been in front of your eyes all the time? I know it. I knew it when I took the mushrooms and exposed Tommy from Texas and proved that the police could not arrest me unless I let them. And I told them I would surrender after I broke 10 bottles of distilled water and poured it over my sweating body. I was wearing this shirt, ask Luther and the other people who remember. There's still dried blood from a scar I've never seen on my chin. And he filmed me saying, it's the apifugal lymphocanosis. But he didn't believe. Yet, I knew I was safe because I'd had his wife sign a letter as my medical contact. It has to go that deep when you're dealing in the spirit world, because I knew that water, as I said then, would have my memory. We were right on the Gulf of Mexico, on the swamp. It would go out into where does that water start? The Gulf Stream starts in the Atlantic. And where does it end up? In the Pacific as El Nino, the sun. And it's going to hit California tomorrow. They're not going to be able to pretend that they can hide the thousands of deaths. The sun is bringing to California tomorrow. I didn't do it. I only know it's going to happen. I told you how the Spirit moves in my world. And now we'll see it play out. This is a judgment. You are one with apoptosis, or the opposite. You've one been called, chosen, and you can be faithful, or you have not heard the voice. You've not heard the voice that's calling you to Jesus Christ. And you will have this necrosis. Just a dead cell. Whereas in apoptosis, it gets fed back into the system. It is going to stay into the light. It becomes one with the system. Now, they can make cells have apoptosis. We see unplanned, God-given apoptosis by messing with our bodies today. They believe that they can control it. I don't. I think they've ran their course and it's out of control. Now, there's also phenoptosis, the falling off. This is programmed too. There's certain cells that you in between your toes as you're developing won't be needed anymore, and it was just planned. They only found out about it recently. I started sharing on it in 2018, 2019. We know there's some things that die and they turn waste particles, come and eat them, and then they do the same thing all over again. But then there's apoptosis. When it's planned right and it works right, it's not like cornification and the other things they study with intermediate filaments. Cornification is the process of forming an epidermal barrier and stratified squamous epithelial tissue at the cellular level. They want to produce keratin. Production of these things to the small proline-rich proteins and transglutamethane, which eventually form a cornified cell envelope beneath the plasma membrane. That's their idea of fun. But I can't tell you just keep a good immune system going. What is something to be complete? What is something that will have to be repaid, will have to be held accounted for? They say it's to be complete or sound, just to throw you off. No, it's something to be completed. The sound, by sound, be uninjured, Job 9:4, really? Does this have anything to do with he heard a sound? Well, maybe if you mean he prospered and he was sound that way. 799. Is that what we're studying here? 799. They want it to mean that that's sound. It has to be repaid. Something has to be restored. Something we owe. We owe. Unless somebody paid it for us. We all owe. Unless somebody paid it for us. Now, until they can explain the Crookes radiometer, the unexplained mystery, and in a time of quantum physics, where they expect you to believe in Schrodinger's cat can be a dead or alive at the same time, or you're not welcome to string theory, goodbye. They can't explain why it's moving, why light is pushing it. One of us, Do Re Mi, wrote a book explaining light in the form of a novel in 2008. I didn't know what I was doing. It's a different type of prophesying now. It's not like God comes down and tells to Elijah, pray really hard and I'll answer it and it won't rain for 3.5 years. It doesn't work like that now. We're in the process of something that was sealed is being lifted. And it doesn't get lifted all at once or we'd all be blinded. And there would be no discernment. I know, man. I hate that autocorrect thing. Because they don't know how to correct shit, do they? Where was I? Crookes radiometer. Partial vacuum. Like we're a partial vacuum. I told you before. You know, when I say that I'm a partial vacuum, I am apoptosis. I am different. I've been called, I've been chosen. I heard his voice. I will suffer for his name's sake. I get it. My heart's been changed. I have no other intent except to warn people. There's a judgment coming. If you're in California right now and you're not taking that El Nino serious, I don't know what else I can do. But maybe some people will listen. Other people will die not listening. But there's going to be some people dying tomorrow. And that water will have a memory. And this is going forward in judgment because we're all going to bow before the one God who made the dust, who had the titans, who revealed the matrix. And the matrix doesn't have anything to do with those Anunnakis.
They must have all been in on it. They all knew that it was bullshit. They all knew it was planted by a cop. They all knew that it was a cop telling them about it. Why wouldn't they do so? Why they go, hey, there's a viable pipe bomb over there. Yeah. We'll get to it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Well,
Why are these things being exposed today? This was today. Because this is a big deal. Today and tomorrow. They got some explaining to do.
And appears to fumble with that backpack. A bomb is later discovered in
This man has just planted a pipe bomb outside the window where Kamala Harris, the vice president of the United States, is going to be the next day.
In the bush adjacent to the bench. At 8:14, the same suspect walking down an alley next to the RNC headquarters. A bomb placed there as well before exiting the area, walking past the Capitol Hill Club.
Okay, well, thank God that the pipe bomber at least wore a COVID mask. He might be a terrorist, but he's not a super spreader.
And all of this is false information in a vain attempt to show you that even former liberals are going to vote for Bush this time. He's telling you the truth, but he's doing it for a different reason than me. That I can say, thus saith the Lord.
So now there's a new video that has shown up of someone, well, here, I'll just play it for you.
And it's really remarkable. What it depicts is the discovery of the DNC bomb at approximately 1:05 p.m. on January 6th. And if you follow the timestamps closely, you can see this guy in a backpack come into frame at around 1:05. What he does is he first approaches a car, which is a...
This is a police officer, they'll later disclose. Here are children crossing the street. This police officer knows there's a pipe bomb 20 feet from where these children are crossing the street.
A Metro PD car, talks to the driver's side in the window for a while, then moves to the other side of the window, and then eventually moves and chats with somebody in a black SUV, which is a Secret Service car, chatting with Secret Service. In fact, we've learned through multiple sources that the Metro PD was part of that Secret Service detail. Why was the Secret Service there? We'll get to that in due course.
Because this is Kamala Harris's Secret Service car. She's in this building right now, and right then.
The guy finishes talking to the SUV and then leaves the frame. What the individual in the backpack is doing is alerting the Metro PD and the Secret Service of the fact that there is a pipe bomb just feet away that was planted by the park bench outside of the DNC. Now, for those watching this video, and everyone has to watch this video to follow along, the first thing that will strike you as remarkable is just how utterly unconcerned both the Metro PD and the Secret Service are about being informed that there was a pipe bomb literally within feet of...
But you remember in all of the trials, this was a big deal. They had to bring a robot because the terrorists planted a pipe bomb by the Democratic National Committee's going to make a message with the pipe bomb. People are going to die tomorrow by the hundreds. And that water is going to have a memory. And it's the memory of judgment, not the memory of, ooh, this means I should vote for Donald Trump.
Of them and within feet of their protectee, who was VP-elect Kamala Harris. You'll notice if you watch from approximately 1:07 to 1:09 in the timestamp, utterly lackadaisical, utterly unconcerned. Takes them minutes to even get out of their vehicles, at which point...
Boy, look how they spring into action at the terrifying news that there's pipe bombs outside Kamala Harris, the office that Kamala Harris is.
Lingering around, uninterested, unconcerned. And then this alone isn't...
So
we'll see this.
eventually they move the camera and you can see that this is the park bench where that man was sitting, and he put the bomb right here. It's right here. Right here where my arrow is. In this area. They could see the pipe bomb. Hey, no problem. It's set up for the news tonight when we get the footage of the robot disarming it. Well, they're going to be hiding deaths tomorrow. I've shown you that their version of the scientific method is hocus pocus. It's also that they could add 1,000 years and drop people like Kepler, Galileo Galilei, John Locke, David Hume, Francis Bacon, Roger Bacon. You ever heard of these guys? Occam's razor. They can reinterpret using the scientific method. My ass. It's a lie. Camera obscura. This supposedly brought everything to that Albert Einstein, the guy that discovered the scientific method, and then 500 years later, the European Renaissance discovered it and said, wow, we should worship the Greek gods. Please. No, it works because people have always been studying the eye. And the retina. How do we see? Ganglion cells, ganglion nerves tipped in gold. Yeah, there's gold in your body and you know it. Science has to admit it. You are born of the matrix. You are part of the matrix, of the living matter. And you can't get away from it. You're an electric battery. You exist because God, in the form of Jesus Christ, the anointed Messiah, is speaking. By him you consist. By him we're on an eyeball, either real or a model of the Spirit's eyeball. When you just search for old maps of the North Pole, you're usually going to get the Mercator. And people are going to go like, oh, all the compasses point to the north, but why did he put this as the magnetic, where my mouse is, there's the magnetic pointing. That's where the needle would point. They go, well, the real mountain is over here. Because they don't know. They didn't know. North Pole here, 5 stars, 13 stars. Another one. When was this? Here's a bigger picture of it. What is this? At least they know that the people that believe in the globe, they think this is going to happen. A woman by her word is going to knock his helmet off, send him back. And this is Dutch for when? When was this map? When did they think this was possible? 1919? I do believe that's what this is from here. When the Netherlands, 1916. This means peace. So Europe was bringing war to the world and peace was going to stop it, I guess. This guy, I just looked him up. Of course, the National Academy of the Visual Arts, ended up in Cleveland, Ohio, where he was making these posters for a living, just because it worked for a short time at Disney. Why not? After the war. Like, the United States really ever cared about the children. Remember, this is propaganda. They filmed these children with bare feet because that's the way they wanted them portrayed. We wanted to see it anyway.
Children, the human raw material of each shattered nation's tomorrow.
And remember, I believe the elites of the world would rather cook them and eat them for their adrenochrome than save them. That's my position.
Each nation's preview in flesh and blood of its future.
What do you think the future of our children is shaping up? How is it shaping up? Fentanyl on every corner, meth on every corner. What's the distribution to get that on every corner? Well, not a problem with it. They're trying to live forever.
Pillars of the brave new world. Pillars of the brave new world. Ages from 3 to 6 and not even able to stand. Rickets. Age 9. Mother tortured, father burned alive. Age 10. Lost her senses when shells swept her Dutch village. Age 8. Mother, father, sister, and brother killed all around him in deliberate shell fire because they refused to leave the shelter of a ravine. Himself wounded. Age 8, she didn't know her strange new toy was a grenade. Ages 10 to 14.
And unfortunately, it's been proven that everything that, we accused them of, we did. We did it. We firebombed them.
The Czech village that once filled this entire valley, and then was wiped so completely off the face of the earth that not even rubble remained. Where all the women were sent to concentration camps, of which these are among the surviving few. A specialist from Australia, a doctor from Cuba, and a nurse from Belgium, a child expert from England, a therapeutist from Ohio, from Canada, Norway, South Africa, China, operating despite the handicaps of varied languages and learning constructive new lessons in international teamwork.
Things are going to be great after World War II, aren't they? It was the seeds of destiny. It had to be this way, almost like a manifest destiny.
And firesides. The return to normalcy takes on many forms, even though it be a nightmare kind of normalcy. UNRWA is able to report progress, but small in comparison to need.
You should donate more money to the United Nations. What's the seeds of change and destiny going to bring?
Somebody maimed in one war who must never experience or symbolize another. What seeds of destiny will sprout from within these ravaged ranks in lands where the specter of famine stalks? New Führers, or new lovers of liberty? The answer? It will hang in the balance throughout the immediate months and years, for there's still a long way to go in this last battle. A long way. While men of goodwill everywhere face the challenge to shape a world in which each nation's upcoming generation can walk with hope and confidence.
Do you like where they've led it? Do you like that they've have a 1958? They passed the what was that? The National Defense Education Act of 1958, that you had to swear an affidavit that you don't believe the country was taken over by force or coercion or any other way, or you don't get paid. America's war from 1754 to 1955, I searched it, the picture anyway, because it reminds me, well, what does it remind me of? Look at it hard here, where my mouse is, feeding into a brain. Everything they show you is for a reason. It's the medulla oblongata from another angle. I've shown it to you. I've shown it to you in a rock as it was reserved in judgment. I've shown you the crossover, the importance, the fourth ventricle. I ran a wire through it. I showed you that they can shave these. Here it's your pons, number 7. Number 7 is the pons. They can shave it to make it look like a trilobite. And I did an autopsy on a trilobite and proved that it's part of the brain in the stone. Throw a little dirt on that. It looked like a rock, because it is a rock. It's reserved in judgment. You've seen it. You've seen me do it in the stones and on the matrix, because that's their little dipping bird that continuously drinks and provides that water of life. I've shown you the corpus calestrum in the stones. It's been right here all the time. It's always right here. God has shown it to us in so many different ways. If we don't see it in the, let me get it back on the, if you can't see it, when it's here, you're going to have to use some faith. Now, the maps, the old flat earth maps, are they like eyeballs? Yes. Why would I be searching up, Mappamundi? Unless nobody asks a question that they don't know the answer to. It's an eyeball telling a story. It's a little off center because you have a blind spot in your eye. That's why it's not at the bottom here. The top is at the top. Because this eyeball of what we see coming in here, this is going to cross over. On one side, good to go for heaven. On the other side, no, you don't get to go. But this eyeball is in all of these maps. This isn't just a funny man. This is some nerve or something that bends like that. This little tree with this person touching it, it has something to do with it. The river, the river of life, it will flow over here, on all these maps. These are messages to us that unless we get out our anatomy books, it's going to be hard. Because there's more than one Mappa Mundi. It just means old map. I don't see the eyeball in that one. This is probably another good one that would be like an eyeball. Christ at the top. He's the vision. Should be a little off center here. Well, here's his feet. Okay, so the world is his footstool, but it probably still an eye. Should be a river of life here somewhere on the side. Represented, here it is. Flowing, always flowing. They always were sharing the same messages, man. It's the same message I'm telling you. I'm looking for a map of the, that lake. Here it is. This is his total eyeball. It's all set up as an eyeball. Let's just pick out the biggest one. Because this one will show that it's an eyeball, and then the other lake by it, I think it is a uterus. So the eye leads to the castle. Remember, and in the middle, here's all your connecting nerves of how it's all held together. Here's your, the river of life. It would, this picture would be centered, where this would be on the right-hand side. It's built to be a model. That's why this is over here. On the bottom over here is going to be your nerves running off over here, because this is your blind spot. That's why the nerves come over to here. It doesn't shine on the retina directly in the back. It shines over here, and it just takes these nerves. These guard the tears. These are what guard the tears. It's all right there. And so, with that being said, I mean, what else can we look up? We can look up, how about, crystals on matrix. When they find it, crystals on matrix, they're going to show you it's on a rock. Because we are all living stones to be fit into the chief cornerstone. They can't explain it. It's in our body. These little crystals are part of your active brain that's working right now. This is probably pyrite. Where there's pyrite, it acts like gold until you really need gold. And then you need it like in the ganglion nerves and stuff. If you don't find pyrite, you won't find gold. full on that. And in the meantime, this was deposited because they were in a flood. Their adrenaline was cooking and everything was being expressed. They had one thing on their mind. They thought they were going to die. Everyone perished in the flood, but it doesn't say everyone drowned. It doesn't even mention anybody drowning. It said they perished when they got hit by the glittering sword. How about a little Bible time? Let's look up some John the Baptist things. When does he start talking to John the Baptist? Is that like chapter 4? No, chapter 3, maybe. Where's my mouse? Hey, mouse, are you working or we're not? I'm frozen. Father, I'm frozen and I can't. I'm in the middle of a presentation. The computer stopped working. Huh. Maybe I'm supposed to end the show.
And I see me here, but I just came on, it was 58 minutes, you had a black screen, and there you are.
Right. I'm gonna hang up now and talk to you on the screen. I got you now. Yeah, my show just stopped and I had to restart my computer and now my monitor's not working. It's only my laptop. So I guess I was off the air for a while.
Well, it says a few minutes in the chat.
Yeah. I laid it all out tonight. And then it just
So
stopped on me. I don't know why my
it's
TV,
it's
why my
probably
big
because
monitor.
once I got on my computer, must have been just, I'm just kidding that is just a coincidence. I just came down, sat down, it came up on my algorithm. I clicked
Yeah.
on, and it was a black screen at that time. And
I
then,
still have a black screen on my monitor. That's why I'm having to stare at you, I mean, like lean forward and everything. I know it looks weird, but
well, you must have clicked me into the.
I did. Yeah, I had to restart my computer, and then it basically wanted me to like act like this was a brand new computer. So I had to go to Chrome. My telephone. In the meantime, I looked it up on my phone, and my phone on YouTube doesn't even show this video as in the system. So I had to go back and then restart the computer. And then when I restarted the computer, you were on the screen. Okay. I'm just getting all like, I'm getting all hot and sweaty. Something weird's going on, man.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt, but it didn't
Are you
look like there
kidding?
was anything to interrupt because it was a black screen. So
Well, it might have been. It was a good time. I was just about to say, there you go. That proves it. I pretty much showed him everything, man. Told him everything. So tomorrow morning, we're good, right? We're going to watch the storm.
yeah, whatever you have on your agenda.
Yeah, I basically I went over everything tonight about how I even have this shirt I wore when I was doing all the mushrooms, and Tommy, in that whole situation. And I reminded everybody about how I poured all the distilled water over me. And I made that a big deal because, remember, I didn't let the cops arrest me. I proved to them that they couldn't arrest me without shooting me. But I told them I'd surrender if they just let me sit down here and dump this water on me. And then I'd lay down and I put my hands behind my back and let them take me in. But that was because I was said at the time, I want that water to wash over me. I know where the Gulf Stream starts, and I was only about 100 miles from it. So that water would go out into the Gulf of Mexico. It gets pulled and pushed through the Atlantic, ends up coming to the Pacific as El Nino tomorrow morning. And they're going to end up trying to hide the thousands of people that are going to die. Again, the water is going to be sending them a message. That's what I told them, Randy. You don't have to hang out with me if you don't want to.
No, so you were able to walk at that time? I mean,
right. I was walking, and yeah, Tommy has it on video. I was walking with all those breaks on my ankle, on my heel.
Huh.
I was walking and talking, and I actually at one time dove onto the back porch with a Superman dive, is what Tommy's got on film. And they filmed me wearing this shirt saying, "You've forgotten about the ampufugal lymphocanosis."
Right.
That meant something to me at the time. I know what it means now. I know what I was trying to communicate Tommy. Tommy's sins were not hid from me when I was confronting him. I knew what and how and what was going on. He didn't want to come clean. It was that easy. I'm leaving room for his repentance, but not his wife.
Yeah.
So that's where it's at. So tomorrow it's going to be more water has a memory. is taking full stage. I showed them the gold in the matrix. I showed them all the eye maps that we're on a map. This is all about,
Right. Yeah.
you know, the stationary Earth. It's Earth is an eye. I don't want to hear about turtles all the way down. We don't need it. We got right there. We got all the foundation we need.
Oh yeah.
So
the pillars.
I'm going to end this show and we can continue talking. Everybody, it's a flat Earth nation. The golden age is past because the mud flood was Armageddon. We're never going to tell you anything else because we're called to have your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho.